Namaste. Good morning. This morning I'm going to teach you two things. The first one is Uddiyana Bandha and the second one is Nauli Kriya. These are both cleansing practices that help to basically harness the digestive fire, the Agni within the body, and they're good for cleansing, purifying, detoxifying. And the reason I'm not wearing a shirt is because you have to be able to see what's going on here in the abdomen. So if you've been following along, we've done oil pulling, we've done Kapalabhati breathing, and after doing those two things, so if you start with those two things every morning and then work your way to Uddiyana Bandha and then eventually to Nauli Kriya, you'll be doing yourself a lot of favors first thing in the morning to get your day started off on the right track. So with Uddiyana Bandha, what we're going to do is start with a full breath in through the nose, a nice deep breath out through the mouth. And then after we breathe out through the mouth, it's kind of like a mock inhalation where you draw the belly in, and you'll notice it's like you're sucking your belly in and up, and you'll really be able to kind of see this nice concavity here in the abdomen beneath the ribs. So I'll give you a quick example of how that goes. I'll do it facing you, and then I'll do it to the side so that you can see from a different angle. And you always make sure that you release the bandha before you take in your next breath of air. So when you're finished doing the bandha for the first time, you can start to stand upright, release the bandha, and then take your inhalation. So from the side, just so you can see. All right, so that's Uddiyana Bandha, and you want to practice that, get that down first for a little bit. The more you practice it, the more you practice the retention of the breath and the exhale, the longer you'll be able to hold it and the easier it'll become. You definitely want to practice this on an empty stomach. You don't want to practice this if you have diarrhea. If you're a woman and you're menstruating, you probably don't want to do this because naturally your apana vayu, you're eliminating wind or downward energy, is trying to work out. If you have diarrhea or upset stomach, it's trying to work all that out of your system. Or if you're a woman and you're menstruating, it's leaving you, it's moving down and out. And when we're doing Uddiyana Bandha, we're kind of interrupting that flow. We're drawing that energy back in and up. We're drawing the energy and that fire, the digestion, in and up. We're bringing stuff which is normally eliminating down up into that digestive fire and working with it there. And you don't necessarily want to go against your body's natural rhythm. So the next thing I'll show you is kind of the precursor to Nauli Kriya, and what you're going to want to do is start with Uddiyana Bandha, and then you're going to keep the obliques in the sides of your bodies retained inwards and just work on isolating the abdominal wall here back out. So you get this little channel of the abdominal wall here, and you kind of got to play around with it. It takes a little bit to get used to keeping the obliques in and then isolating that part of the abdominal wall out. So just like we started with Uddiyana Bandha, only we'll be keeping in the obliques and releasing the abdominal wall straight out. So I'll give you an example. And you'll notice there that I started to do a little bit of a pump with the abdominal wall where you'll suck it back in. Again, this is all during the retention of your exhalation. So you suck it back in the abdominal wall and then keep the obliques in and just release it out. And you can start kind of doing a little bit of a pump there where it's in and out, in and out. So I'll give you an example. Work on this before you even get to Nauli. So So that's the one thing you're going to work on first. So once you have that well established, then you can start to move into Nauli, which is the abdominal roll. And the way you get the roll here is first Uddiyana Bandha, then just release the abdominal chamber, and then by pressing different onto the thighs with different pressure. So you can press from, you're going to be seeing opposite me here, right thigh and left thigh is going to get the abdominal wall to roll in a circle or in a certain direction. And if you switch from your left thigh to your right thigh, then the abdominal wall is going to move back in the opposite direction. And you want to take your time getting up to this point. Really focus on practicing Uddiyana Bandha first, practicing the abdominal isolation here, and then eventually you'll start to work to the roll. So I'll give you a little bit of example of what it looks like. All right, so basically that's everything. Started with Uddiyana Bandha, drawing, it's like a mock inhalation where you draw the abdomen in and up, nice big concavity here in the abdominal walls. You almost can even get your fingers underneath your rib cage if you really wanted to, not that you need to. And then from there, once you have that mastered, you can work on the precursors to Nauli, which would be first Uddiyana Bandha, and then maintaining the obliques in and isolating the abdominal wall, letting that come out, working with kind of pumping that in and out, getting used to that sensation in that area, and then ultimately getting to the point of full Nauli with the abdominal roll, moving it in both directions, getting that nice cleansing routine going for your internal organs, your digestive organs. If you do this even just a few days a week, I mean, even if you just work on Uddiyana, you can work on Uddiyana every day. So, you know, if you've been following along, I would suggest as many days a week as you can, wake up, do your 20 minutes of oil pulling with coconut oil. And then after that, if you have other cleansing practices, such as neti pot or anything like that, clear your sinuses and get into about 3 or however many rounds feels good for you, rounds of Kapalabhati breathing, and then working after that with Uddiyana Bandha, and then isolating the abdominal walls, working with that pump, and then eventually the Nauli abdominal roll. And if you can do this as many mornings as possible, you're going to start to notice lots of differences in terms of your digestion and your digestive system. You should be having regular movements, as any healthy body should be, and you should start to also notice more toneness in your abs and in your core muscles, your abdominal wall, and overall you're just going to be feeling much better. You're going to really be helping your digestive system out and doing the best you can. And it's just important to always practice on an empty stomach, to not practice if you're already dealing with stomach issues and issues where you're eliminating more perhaps than normal, or also if you are a woman and you're menstruating. I've been told that that is not, you know, particularly beneficial. If you want to look up alternate, you know, opinions on that, especially maybe try to get an opinion from a woman, maybe somebody who's tried that before. I have no way of being able to know and to tell you, so I'm just speaking on what I've learned, not from experience. So if you are a woman and you are looking to practice this and you might want to still practice during that time, I would just consult with a different woman who has been practicing this before and maybe has tried and can give you some better advice on that. So those are the practices. I hope that you'll try them out, and I hope that you enjoy them. And if you have questions about any of this stuff, you can, you know, come through Moyo. You can consult with me, and we can work on these things more specifically, maybe more one-on-one, and practice these things, especially throughout the summer, throughout the whole year. There's no reason really not to be practicing these things. Wake up an extra half hour early. You can get it all done, and your day will be much better. I promise you that. All right. Namaste. Have a great day.